Life Love Lessons Series 2 is designed with men in mind. Yes, men. Brothers, listen. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have uncovered capacity for abundant living and loving. Hi, I am Teacher Hazel. Teaching is my ministry. I invite you, I challenge you to listen and learn some secrets that I will share with you in Life Love Lessons with Men in Mind. Note, living abundantly is your legacy.
Yes, greetings, hello, and welcome to Series 2 of Life Love Lessons, Lesson 3. And I must begin with an apology for what should have happened at 10 p.m. Something went amiss, and the presentation was not streamed. And the second attempt, it was echoing. So I apologize for my failure in terms of managing the technology. And here I am to repeat the presentation that I did to myself, I believe, because no one was able to hear or see it when it was done first. So let's begin with an acknowledgement of our Creator and Sustainer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God sustains us. Wherever we are, God is. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I thank God for you, and I thank you for being here with me. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Life Love Lessons with Men in Mind. This is the third of 8 lessons on 8 consecutive Thursday nights beginning at 10 p.m. Each lesson lasts for just about 1 hour. First 45 minutes are for the presentation of the lesson, and the next 15 are for your questions and my answers. You may put your questions in the chat at any point in time, but I will read and answer them in Q&A time after the presentation. And I'm reading that and I'm smiling because I was asking for questions when there was no one on and I was just talking to the laptop. So, welcome each and every one of you to Life Love Lessons with Men in Mind. And women, just as the men were welcome to Series 1, you are welcome to participate in Series 2. After all, we are in this life together. So now, as usual, we do a brief recap of the lessons that went before. So I would have asked the question, in both lessons, and I'm asking it again. Brother, do you know that you are a magnificent spiritual being with untapped potential and unexplored capacity for abundant living and loving? And I repeat my statement, brother. If you know your worth, know who you are, you won't need to use a gun or blade or force to prove you have worth. Living abundantly is your legacy. Loving life is your destiny. And now for some nuggets from lesson 1. If all you see is what you see, you don't see all there is to be seen. And we would have delved into that in the lesson. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. And my favorite, change the way you see things, and the things you see change. And of course, the question, what do you see with? We would have explored that. Do you see with your eyes or your mind? Remembering that your perception is your reality. And from lesson 2, to be or not to be, it is up to you. You are responsible for what and who you are. How you think directly affects how you live. And in lesson 2, we would have explored the results formula, where we showed that your thoughts cause your feelings cause your actions cause your results, and therefore your thoughts cause your results, and your results never lie. Look at your results and you can tell what your thoughts were. If you think in lack, your results reveal lack. If you think in abundance, your results display abundance. And remember, you cannot not think. You are always thinking. So, it is better that you choose what you think. Among the gifts God gave us is freedom of choice. So, we choose our life story. Understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and because of that, you have absolutely unlimited creative capacities. So in addition to your 5 physical senses, you have 6 super senses. So I ask you, please use them. You have choice. Please use it. And now we move on to lesson 3, mind movies. Yes, mind movies. Your thoughts create your life. Mind movies are movies that play in your mind. Usually, movies play on TV and in the cinema or on the screen of some device. What we see then are images moving across a screen. Yes? Those images are pictures of people, places, animals, and things. To see the real people, we go to a concert or a show and see them on stage. To see the real places, animals, and things, and people too, we make a trip or a visit. But most of the time, we use our thoughts to make our movies, and our thoughts create our life. Because it is the thought that carries the message. And you need to understand that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between the thought of a thing and the real experience of that thing. So you will recall that when we did the thing that you lost your wallet, immediately you reacted in a particular way. Certain feelings came about, and of course, certain actions came about. And when you realize, well, okay, I didn't lose it, the feelings changed and the actions changed. And therefore, even though it didn't really happen, the fact that you thought about it sent a message and your system reacted to the message. So we use our imagination. That is our image-making mental faculty. Remember, we have 6 mental faculties or super senses, spiritual senses. One of them is imagination, the image-making mental faculty. And that's what we do when we create mind movies. So let me just introduce you to a mind movie that you're most likely familiar with. And this one uses imagination. It's taken from Numbers 13. Verses 1 and 2 say, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall he send a man, every one a ruler among them. So the men that are chosen, this is the setting, are rulers. Okay? And Moses chose them, and he sent them out, and they went, and they came back. And now they are telling him, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. So they were even able to bring back a whole big branch of grapes for him to see. And Caleb suggested, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Now that's one train of thought. But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. That's a different train of thought. The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. There we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So these rulers of the various tribes were playing their own mind movie, which said, even though they were allowed to go into the land and take things out and come back out, and they saw the giants, and the giants did not beat them up or run them, they were able to bring out what they wanted. Yet they are saying their thoughts. They were like grasshoppers next to these giants, and therefore they cannot fight them and win. That's their imagination, and that's their mind movie. Another one of their faculties is memory, which is the image recalling mental faculty. So the imagination is the image making, and the memory is the image recalling. So let me give you a story of a movie from the image recalling mental faculty. It's taken from 1 Samuel 17. beginning at verse 24 and jumping as necessary. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And of course, you know that David offered to fight this man. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So the army was afraid. That was their movie. That was the thoughts that were going on in their head. And even Saul doesn't believe that David could do it. But listen to David's thoughts, and let's see David's movie. David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. And David said, Moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. Memory. The image recalling mental faculty. So he recalled the images, and his mind movie is based on what he had experienced. And of course, when the Philistine looked and saw David, he said, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. Because as far as he was concerned, he is the giant, David is the grasshopper. But here's what David said to the Philistine. Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, unto the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Two mind movies. One, the thoughts were thoughts of defeat, thoughts of failure. That was their imagination. The other, the thoughts were thoughts of success and victory, because that was the memory that David had. So you see most of your movies in your mind, because remember, you never stop thinking. Okay? And because of the super senses, you are able to create images and to remember images. So, who are you? What is your self? And you recall the self-definition. I am a spiritual being currently sojourning in physical form, having a human experience. Yes? So your self is made up of three parts. I am a spiritual being, spirit, currently sojourning in physical form, body, having a human experience, soul. So if we look at the diagram there, we will see that the body is the physical aspect, physical world. It gets its information through the physical senses. And it feeds that information to the soul. The soul is the mind, the intellect, the awareness, that thinking area where decisions are made. And the soul connects with the spirit. So the body passes on information to the soul. The soul connects with the spirit. The spirit is a divine connection living in the body. It connects with the soul and with the infinite spirit, and it gives messages to the soul. So you understand the diagram and the relationships between the three aspects. Okay? So the body serves the soul serves the spirit serves God, because you are a spiritual being in physical form having a human experience. And that's the self that you are. So you recognize that there is so much more than the external physical being that you see. So let us explore a little bit more this mind, soul, super senses, intelligence, awareness. So the soul, the mind, the thinking faculty, is functioning in the physical form of the brain. The movies take place in the mind, in the soul. And the brain is the identified physical location. Of course, recently they have recognized that the soul, the mind, the awareness is not only in the brain, but that's where it's identified and has been looked at over the years. And in that study over the years, first, you remember that the IQ test was the big thing that decided how bright you were. So that was checking your intelligence quotient, your intellectual intelligence quotient. And they discovered in all their research that that occupies the left side of the brain, and it is serial processing, logical, 1, 2, 3. And then they realized that a lot of their high IQ people couldn't deal with life's experiences. They couldn't handle their emotions. So then they weren't all that bright after all. And they started researching and discovered EQ, which is the emotional quotient, that we have emotional intelligence, and that occupies the right side of the brain, and there is where the parallel processing is done. So we have the logic and the rational, and we have the artistic and the emotional. And with time, they came to understand that what the sages of old were saying, that the scientists and the physicists, etc., called woo-woo, this spirit thing, because you can't prove it and you can't pin it down. They came to understand that indeed the human being, because he is originally a spiritual being, has a spiritual quotient because he has spiritual intelligence. And what they discovered is that spiritual intelligence is synchronous processing, and it occupies the whole brain. So whereas the intellectual and the emotional are left side and right side, if you look at the diagram there, you will see that the spiritual encompasses the entire brain. So yes, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we do run quite a number of mind movies. And there are some special features of these movies that we run. One says everything is created twice. Now, what is that? Everything is created twice. First in the thought realm, the spirit realm, the dream, and then in the physical realm, what we call reality. But if it does not appear in the thought realm, the spirit realm, it cannot appear in the physical realm. It will not manifest in the physical because you have to see it to get the image. You have to believe it, build the thought, and then you can do it, do the action. And you just have to think, the chair on which you are sitting, before it became a chair, it was a thought in somebody's mind, or perhaps a number of persons' mind, that, we can put something together that we can sit upon. And they thought about it, they saw it, they believed it, and then they were able to build it. But if they had never thought about it, they would never be able to build it. So everything, anything that you can think of, everything is created twice. First in the spirit realm, and then in the physical realm. And you will see this playing out in several ways in this lesson. So let's do some basic physics. Everything is energy. You know that. Light, life, sound, energy. And energy vibrates. Everything vibrates. Everything is vibration. Because vibration is how energy moves, right? In waves. Thoughts are energy. Thoughts vibrate. So thoughts are vibration. And thoughts vibrate on energy frequencies. So, what are these frequencies? Well, in the same way that there are scales to measure vibration of sound energy and light energy, there's a vibrational scale to measure thought energy as well. And you'll notice on the diagram there that the lower vibrations are the negative vibrations, anger and guilt and shame, and the higher vibrations are the positive vibrations, love and courage and peace, right? And we've been talking about thought and what it does, and therefore we are saying you change your results by changing your thoughts, changing your focus. Change your thoughts, you change your life. And that is why, remember, Paul told us in Philippians, whatsoever things are lovely. Think about these things. Because if you continue to think about these lovely things, you change your vibration to the level of lovely, and therefore things will change for you. And just a note that gratitude is the attitude of altitude, because that is where love resides. And you see how high up on the scale love is. And all of this talk about vibration and vibrational scale takes us into some universal laws. The first one is the law of attraction. Everything is energy. Energy vibrates. What you focus on, you receive. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So that you understand that if you focus, the energy is going in that direction. And once the energy is going there, that's where the vibration is going to be heavy. So the law of attraction says that vibrations attract like vibrations. And you're going to tell me, no, they taught us opposites attract. Well, that is not really true, except in physics when we are talking about polarity. In order to meet on the physical plane, negative and positive must be there, but opposites do not attract. When we're talking vibration, vibrations attract like vibrations. And remember, spiritual beings, spiritual energy, vibrations. So where your attention goes, your energy flows. What you focus on, you attract to yourself. You notice that there are some people who are always complaining and they always have something to complain about. Yes, what is happening is because they're always complaining, they attract things to complain about and therefore they keep complaining. Vibrations attract like vibrations. Some people who are always pleasant and smiling always find something to smile about because vibrations attract like vibrations. And now we've looked at the law of attraction and we want to see it in action. We all know Nelson Mandela's story. And I want to look at some of the wisdom of Nelson Mandela. You remember that he was imprisoned 25 years after the fight to stop apartheid in South Africa. And he said that when he was first imprisoned, he was functioning in the lower vibrations. So he was angry, he was bitter, he had hatred. And as the time went on, and he didn't seem to see a way out, he started getting despondent and thought that he had wasted his time and energy and that he should perhaps just give up on this dream of freedom. So that was the movie that was going on in his mind. But then he started thinking about his thoughts. And he chose to move his thinking from the lower vibrations to the higher vibrations and change his mind movie. So he started looking at this period of incarceration as a time for a process to take place. And he began to envision a brighter future, a future with freedom. He changed his focus. And as he changed his focus, his energy went in a different direction. And therefore, the law of attraction kicked in. And so the things that he was focusing on came to pass. But listen to this piece of wisdom. He said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and my hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. So he had held up for the period of years, and it was because of his change of focus that he was able to make it. And now he's leaving. The bitterness would have risen up again because you're going out to meet these people. But he realized that if he brought back that old mind movie, it will go with him and control him. So he decided that he needed to drop that movie, change the movie, change the focus so that he will attract the things that he wanted to attract. So there we see the law of attraction at work in Mandela's life. And remember, we have 6 super senses. And one of them that we dealt with was perception. And perception is the capacity to evolve and expand the meaning we give to our experiences. But perception is also our capacity to find the seed of good inside everything. We're talking about Mandela. Consider his circumstances. And in spite of those horrible circumstances, he was able to find the seed of good. He changed the way he was seeing things, and the things he was seeing changed. Now consider your circumstances. Your circumstances don't match Mandela's circumstances, do they? No way they can. And if he was able to find the seed of good in his situation, then don't you think that you can too? Because you can find good in everything. Remember, all things work together for good to those who love the Lord. So no matter how bad it seems, there is a seed of good. And our perception gives us that privilege to see a seed of good inside everything. We're still on to thoughts, and we look at 2 other super senses, intuition and reason. And we're told that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. Remember, we looked at the intuition and we said it's the whisper of the soul. It is that communication between the divine, it's that still small voice. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift. And the rational mind is a faithful servant. So the rational mind will do whatever you give it to do. Remember that the body feeds the soul with certain information, and what it gets, it will work on. And the sad thing is, we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So we've turned things upside down, and that's why we're in a lot of trouble. And bear in mind that when we spoke about reason, we said there is the lower level of reason, which is the human or logical reason, and there is the higher level of reason, right, which is the spiritual. So you have a gift and you have a servant, but if you cherish the servant more than the gift, then the servant will rule, because the servant is faithful and he gives you whatever you want. So you need to be careful about what you want, what you think of, what your thoughts are, what you focus on. Okay? So, with all of this thinking and thoughts, our mind movies are self-talk. What are you telling yourself. Remember, you cannot not think. You're always thinking. As long as you're alive, you're thinking. So you need to think about your thoughts, because thoughts are things. They're energy, they're vibration, right? Emotion is energy in motion. And thoughts become beliefs, because beliefs are emotional attachments to thoughts. So thought plus confidence equal belief. You have to think about it, hook onto it before it becomes a belief. And you need to be careful what you believe, because your subconscious, rational mind will make it true. Faithful servant as it is, right? You recall that when we spoke about the perception we had of ourselves, little girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice, and little boys are snips and snails and puppy dogs' teeth. If we keep that perception, if we believe those thoughts, so they become part of our belief system, our emotions are attached to them, and things will work out according to the beliefs that we have. You need to be careful what you believe. And remember, you have choice. You can choose what to believe and what not to believe. So please pay attention to your self-talk, because as we go along, we've done the law of attraction, one of the universal laws. There is the law of deliberate creation. Now, you know the law of attraction. You know that where your focus goes, your energy goes. You know that your vibration will attract like vibration. So you can decide what you want to experience. Yes, you decide what you want to experience. If you just go along with the thoughts and the perceptions that come, then you'll experience it by default. If you think about your thoughts and you choose which thoughts to focus on, then you will create by deliberate creation, by making a decision. Okay? And Matthew 21:21 tells us, and this is Jesus speaking, I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. But you have to have the faith. In other words, you have to make the decision. You have to deliberately create the life that you want, because you have choice. And you know the power of thoughts, and you know how the law of attraction works, and therefore you can decide what you do with your thoughts. And therefore you are advised to manage your mind movies. Manage your mind movies. If you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. If you think you're a grasshopper and the giants will crush you, you're right. If you think that because God promised you the land, you can walk in and get it, you're right. The choice is yours. Now, need is a negative energy because it's lack. When you think in lack and you think of need, that's a negative energy. And you need to interrupt the negative feedback loop. Okay? You need to remove the negative energy, put some positive energy so that the flow will happen. And gratitude is the attitude of altitude. Instead of always focusing on need, focus on being grateful for what you have. And in the process of your gratitude, your vibrations will be on a higher frequency, and therefore you will attract higher frequencies to yourself. And you notice in 2 Corinthians 10:5, bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Let's put that into a little bit of a context. Because at verse 3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. So if our weapons are not carnal, then they are spiritual. And we know the power we have because we are spiritual beings. Casting down imaginations, one of our super senses. Watch how you handle your imagination. And every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God. And this is where we get to, bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. So you are warned to bring your thoughts into captivity, to think about your thoughts. And that's why Paul told us, whatsoever things are lovely, think on these things. Make the choice as to what you will think about. Don't do it by default. You have super senses. You are a spiritual being. You have choice, and there are laws to guide you. So, manage your mind movies. And this brings us to questions and answers. And because I know that I am repeating, and I know now I'm not sure that there is anyone on at this time, I hope that in time, you will get a chance to look at the video, and perhaps when next we meet for lesson 4, we will have some questions and answers. I look forward to that. And so I want to say to you, we've come to the end of lesson 3. And next week, we shall explore lesson 4. And the title for lesson 4 is All, Some, or None. All, some, or none. I hope you have enjoyed being with me in this lesson as much as I have enjoyed being with you to share this lesson. And I hope that you have learned some of life, love lessons. And I look forward to sharing with you again next week. And I pray that you consider your mind movies and change your focus by changing your thoughts. Because when you change the way you see things, the things you see change. And when you develop your perception to see good in everything, then law of attraction, good comes to you. And law of deliberate creation, you can choose to do that. So as you go, Make every effort to love yourself. It's the only self you have. To love your life. It's the only life you know. To live abundantly. It's your birthright. To love God. It's your purpose for being here. So brothers, fathers, uncles, sons, love, joy, peace, blessings. Thank you. And bye until we meet again in lesson 4. Bye-bye.